Hello and welcome to another timeless video. Today's deck is trying to combo as quickly as possible and can in fact win as early as turn 1. We've got two different win conditions, you might have seen them in previous builds. On the one hand we have a Balustrade Spy, which is a 2-3, when it enters will essentially mill our entire deck, since we don't actually have any lands in it, since all the mana sources we're playing are actually these modal dual-faced cards, which are a spell on the front and then a land on the backside, but for the Balustrade Spy we kind of ignore the backside, so we mill through the entire deck. And then how do we win from there? Since I'm not using your typical Creeping Chill or Prized Amalgams to win the game, instead the goal is to use Reanimate to bring back Thassa's Oracle from the graveyard, and then with an empty library we just win the game. So if we have the spare mana we could potentially pull that off in the same turn. Otherwise what happens is we pass a turn, our library is empty. As we go to our upkeep and draw step, we set an upkeep stop using a Jack-o'-lantern, which is now in our graveyard, to generate green mana to essentially fix our colors. Flashback, turn the Earth, which can choose up to 3 target cards in our graveyard to put them back into our library. So we simply get back a bunch of Reanimates, and then we can draw a Reanimate for turn, so we don't lose the game from drawing from an empty library, and then we can Reanimate Thassa's Oracle to win. So it can take an extra turn after casting Balustrade Spy, unless we already have the Reanimate in hand. And then our second win condition also relies on the fact that we don't actually have any lands in the deck. Goblin Charbelcher is 4 mana to cast, 3 mana to activate, will go through the entire deck and then deal enough damage to win the game on the spot. So these are the win conditions. Now how do we accelerate our mana to be able to cast them on turn 1? There's a few methods. On the one hand there's Chromox, which can imprint a colored card that's not an artifact, so we can generate 1 mana. There's Dark Ritual, which is a single black to generate triple black, so that can help ramp out some of our 4-drops in conjunction with maybe a Chromox or another Dark Ritual. And finally, we also have Sacrifice, which as an additional cost needs to sacrifice a creature, generating an amount of black mana equal to the sacrificed creature's mana value. So Sacrifice is incredibly powerful in conjunction with the various evoke elementals. On the one hand, there's a Grief, which we can potentially evoke for free by exiling a black card from our hand, and then it enters, taking a look at the opponent's hand, taking away their best card. And then we also have Fury, which can do the same with a red card and deals 4 damage divided as we choose among creatures or planeswalkers, so that can also give us a bit of interaction. So if we can evoke these various elementals on turn 1 and sacrifice them to our instant speed Sacrifice, we get to generate either 4 mana with Grief or 5 mana with Fury, which is then hopefully enough to cast our win conditions afterwards. And then Reanimate does double duty as a way to get back Thassa's Oracle as part of our win condition, or we can use it to get back one of these elementals after having evoked them to maybe grief the opponent twice, take 2 cards away, or bring back Fury, and then it will stick around as a 3-3 double strike, so that can also act as a win condition if we maybe fail to get there with Charbelcher or Balustrade Spy. And then another one of here is Demonic Tutor, which can just search up whatever card we want, so that can also come in handy. This card of course restricted in Timeless, so we only get to run 1 copy. And then the rest of the deck are these modal dual-faced cards. They all enter untapped at the cost of 3 life. And then we also have the Blood-Soaked Insight, which is both colors, but does enter tapped, so we cannot pay 3 to have this enter untapped, but it can be pitched to either Grief or Fury, so it is important to have enough red cards in the deck so we can actually evoke our Fury when needed. So that's why we have the red and black lands in the deck, despite not technically counting as lands. So yeah, that's the deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play, and what do we think of our hand? Missing one of our evoke elementals to reanimate. So I have 3 lands, Dark Ritual, Charbelcher. So turn 2 I could Ritual Charbelcher, turn 3 activate for the win. Yeah, I mean it doesn't have the best backup plan, but maybe it's good enough. Could also play the Lantern turn 1 at the cost of 3 life. May not be worth it if we're up against aggro. So I'll just play this one tapped. Hope we don't get strip mined. There's strip mine. Alright. Sacrifice, so Just waiting for one of my elementals now, I guess the black one, since I used my red card. So I guess it's worth it to play Lantern just to cantrip if they destroy more lanes. I'll need to draw lands to activate Charbelcher as well. And Lantern can exile the strip mine if they threaten to get it back. Alright, Chromox. So what are we doing? Pitching the Troll. So it might just be blue-black Reanimator. And there's some green mana now. And they're gonna destroy the Lantern, milling some cards in the process. And that happens. And get back Polluted Delta instead of Strip Mine. And another Dark Ritual. Well, we can almost win this turn. Just a mana short, since I could Ritual again, but then we can't quite activate Charbelcher. So just gotta hope they focus on destroying one land as opposed to maybe attacking my hand. So if they destroy one land, we're still fine, because I can just Ritual, activate Charbelcher. A Reanimate also could have hit the Troll as a backup plan. Alright, opponent's just getting back Strip Mine with the weird Alchemy card. That's fine. A Ritual, activate. And there we go, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw with a promising hand. Lots of fast mana, can cast a Balustrade Spy on turn 1, and then turn 2, maybe reanimate a Thassa's Oracle. Opponent blue-reds, artifacts. So they would need one more artifact to enable Metalcraft, so don't expect any interaction. Okay, so what's the play here? Play an untapped land, Chromox, Ritual out, Spy. Can't pitch the Insight, since I can maybe sacrifice the Spy for additional mana if needed. Yeah, I don't think I can win right now, can I? Never mind, I can, because I drew the Reanimate. So I can just mill my whole deck, and then reanimate Thassa's Oracle with the extra black mana. Opponent just concedes on turn 1, so that works. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. This hand's a little awkward, since we typically don't want to draw Thassa's Oracle. I can pitch Fury early on, sacrifice it with Sacrifice to make mana, can reanimate it. But I don't think Fury by itself is going to win me the game. So it's a close one. I think I still mulligan. Alright, this one seems a bit better. And then probably don't need Turn the Earth. So turn 2, I could cast a Spy. Opponent on Eldrazi. So I do have to potentially grief them if we're worried about Chalice. And then I can still Spy on 2, so that's fine. So grief, pitching, doesn't matter too much. Trawler. Maybe I want to play the Trawler as my land, so if they destroy it I can still reanimate it as a creature. So I want to take away any relevant interaction. No Chalice, but they do have Kozilek's Command, and Kozilek's Command aplenty. That's a problem, since that can exile my Oracle before I get a chance to reanimate it. So then I need my opponent to somehow tap out 2 turns in a row. That's probably not happening. They can also just cantrip a Kozilek's Command right now. So that's maybe what they'll do. I think I still take a command. And then just play this tapped. So I don't know if I can go for Spy next turn. Opponent hangs on to the Kozilek's command instead of cycling it. Now draws another Eldrazi Temple. So they could command for 2. Yeah, if I Spy, I just deck myself basically. Since we do not have the classic win condition of bringing back a bunch of creatures. Which could maybe still beat Kozilek's command. So instead, I guess we gotta be patient here. Play this tapped and pass. If we build up our mana enough, eventually I can maybe combo in one turn. If our opponent taps out. Opponent's just targeting themselves, making spawn, and drawing a card. Now, of course, if they draw into a Thought-Knot Seers, they can just take the Spy, so then that's no good either. So I'm not loving my spot. Opponent gets to scry. Plays Power Stone, so they still have command for 0 available. Can just play a land, pass. If I go for a Ritual into Spy, I'll have 1 mana left over, which is not enough to do anything. Unless we had a Reanimate in hand already. So just play this tapped and pass. But now they do have access to quite a lot of mana. It's gonna be Mindstone. Well, they're being passive at least. Fury's interesting. Could Ritual out Fury, deal with the spawn, and then our opponent will maybe use command to remove Fury. And then hopefully they're out of commands and we can cast a Spy. Yeah, I could be down for that. Could also just be patient and then let them maybe play creature we can destroy with Fury. So I'm fine to play this instead of keeping it to pitch. Because next turn I can just hardcast Fury for 5 mana. Without needing the Ritual. Because of course the problem with going for Spies is that they can exile, turn the Earth, and then I can't put cards back into my library. And they can also exile the Oracle if I try and reanimate it. Field of Ruin was kind of unexpected. But that can straight up destroy a land. And they might have a Wastes left to search up. They do. Yeah, pretty awkward game so far. I guess another land is fine, so I'll just stick to the plan. It's not like our opponent's being proactive. Another Mindstone they can cycle. And reanimate, so if they were tapped out without a Kozilek's command in hand, I could win the game right now. By milling Oracle and bringing it back. Now I think I just cast Fury, deal with the spawn, and then hopefully our opponent's gonna blink. Or I guess what I can do is reanimate Grief. Yeah, I guess that could also work. To take away the command, opponent's gonna just command a response, then I can still Spy and then win next turn. Yeah, that maybe makes more sense just to force issue. Ooh, opponent counters with a Warping Whale. That was unexpected. So they still have Kozilek's command in hand. That's rough. Alright. Now what? A Ritual out Fury, I guess. So yeah, opponent with a pretty strange build of Eldrazi. Do they fire off the command? At this point I can hang on to Fell the Profane to maybe remove a creature. If they were to top deck a Thought-Knot Seer, for instance. Command for 7. Alright. So, hope they don't take my spy now. And then there's only one Kozilek's command left in the deck to hopefully worry about. Ugin, that's fine. Can exile our stuff, but it doesn't affect our combo. And reanimate, so now we just win. Assuming there's, I guess, no Kozilek's command, which they can still cast with a spawn. But they'll start here. Is there a response? Target myself. They could have another Warping Whale, I suppose. Target Thassa's Oracle. And there's a Warping Whale to counter. Alright. Exile my spy. Now I do get another chance. Upkeep, stop, flashback, turn the earth by using Lantern for mana fixing. And then I get one more shot at reanimating. I guess I can even put back multiple reanimates here. Up to 3. That resolves. Draw. I guess the only danger now is our opponent removing Thassa's Oracle with the trigger on the stack, because my devotion is only 2, so then I wouldn't necessarily win the game. So I could go for Grief first, but I think I still try to go for it here. So 2 devotion. Do you remove my Thassa's Oracle? You do not. And we win the game. Alright, so it was a long road, but we eventually fought through a whole bunch of interaction here. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the play, up against a Lurrus deck. My hand can generate a lot of mana, with Fury being pitched and then sacrificing it, but I don't have the payoff, no Charbelcher or Balustrade Spy to win us the game. So this hand doesn't really do anything. I guess I can cast a Fury early on. If this is an energy deck, I think we should just try and combo as soon as possible. Alright, this one is missing the sacrifice, but we do have the Charbelcher. So I keep. And then at turn 1 just play a tap land. Turn 2 we can ritual out Charbelcher. Turn 3 activate. That's the plan. Alright, strip mine on 1. So that'll slow us down. Alright, now I can still double ritual Charbelcher. But the problem there is that I can't activate it without 2 more land drops. So then I may as well just wait here. Could keep the red source for Fury, but if they have another strip mine, I don't want to lose my only black source. Next turn with double ritual, it's 2 + 2 + 2 6, so we're still 1 off activating Charbelcher after casting it. Yeah, I think I just play this tapped and pass. Might regret it if I draw Sacrifice, because then I can no longer pitch Fury. Opponent did have a second strip mine. So glad I held on to my black source. Alright, so can play that now. And hopefully we get to play Magic at some point. Now Overgrown Tomb into Nethergoyf. That's fine. Bauble to grow it. So I can ritual out Charbelcher. Don't know if our opponent's running answers to it. Chromox. Do I just win now? Pitch Fury. +2, +2, 6 is 7, so that should be game. There we go. Alright, so we only needed 2 lands in the end. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw. We have turn 2, Ritual Out Spy, turn 3, Reanimate Oracle, hopefully, to win the game. Yeah, that seems fine. Could Demonic Tutor on turn 1, but I don't think that does much. Ooh, Chromox, that's a big deal. So now I can Spy on turn 1 already. If I tutor for Dark Ritual, just increases my storm count but doesn't actually net us any mana. So yeah, Chromox can pitch 1 Balustrade Spy. And then Ritual out the other one. I guess if they have a Surgical Extraction, they could still mess us up. But nope, that's another turn 1 win. I'll take it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the draw, up against Lurrus as companion. We have Grief with the Reanimate, and then Demonic Tutor to get a win condition. Yeah, it's not the worst. Could also tutor for Sacrifice, but yeah, I'm still missing the Spy or Charbelcher. So that's probably what we need to tutor for. Opponent seems to be on energy. And a Guide of Souls. Drawing another black source is useful. So then I can pitch the Shadow Skull Smashing, perhaps. So Grief. Pitching 1 Trawler. See what they're working with. Source to Plowshares, Static Prison, Pride, as well as Strip Mine. Cannot take the Strip Mine, sadly. So Household Pride's a pretty fast clock. Prison, exiling my Chromox could matter. Source to Plowshares we don't really care about. So I probably take the Ocelot, and then wait to commit Chromox, unless I just want to reanimate and take the Static Prison now. Then next turn I can still Demonic Tutor, although I guess I need to pitch the Smashing to the Chromox. Yeah, tricky spot. Could just play Smashing and pass. Or I could have Demonic Tutored for a win condition, but between the Prison and Strip Mine we would not have a lot of mana to work with. So let them use a Strip Mine. They can't do anything else. Fury I can also pitch to the Chromox now. I think I'm down to reanimate Grief. Take the Static Prison most likely. And then next turn I can Demonic Tutor. Don't think Assault Pride's better here. They're gonna Swords in response, that's fine. And Ajani. Ajani's probably a scarier threat. Although I can maybe eventually deal with Ajani through Fury. Static Prison taking the Mox is pretty effective, since I would have to pitch another card to imprint after we get it back. But maybe I still take the Ajani and then just kind of wait. Try and buy ourselves more time. Because we're pretty far from comboing, to be fair. Renan 6, get back Strip Mine. Alright, I guess that's game over here. So that's why they're splashing green. Well, Fury can take care of Renan 6, I guess. And they can only Strip Mine me once. But then we're still gonna struggle. Jack-o'-lantern could have been a way to answer Strip Mine had we played it sooner. Yeah, what would I even Demonic Tutor for? If I were to cast it now. Can Charbelcher without lands. Same with Balustrade Spy. Maybe I should just deal with Renan 6 while I can. And then the plan might be to use Demonic Tutor to reanimate Fury. Don't want to play a Lantern and have it static prisoned, I think. Although maybe that was still fine. Just to spend my mana. But yeah, right now we're not doing anything. And that's a land at least. Bombardment, good with a Ajani, if that ever shows up again. And our opponent could also go for Lurrus, but then Lantern can maybe interfere. Drew the Charbelcher, so now at least we have a win condition. Still can't cast Demonic Tutor, since I don't have the mana. Since all my cards are artifacts. So I'll play Lantern, maybe they'll prison it, maybe they don't. So at least this turn they're not going for Lurrus. So I can't win with Balustrade Spy without Lantern fixing my colors. Okay, so now we're getting closer to a Charbelcher win. I can cast Demonic Tutor, get Dark Ritual, still kind of tough, because they can just sack the prison and eventually get it back with Lurrus. Although that's still going to take them a few turns to set up. Yeah, if I tutor for Dark Ritual, then next turn I can Ritual out Charbelcher, and then the turn after, assuming I've drawn another land or spell I can pitch to Chromox, we can activate. So then next turn, put Lurrus in hand. Turn after, if they have another white source, cast it. Replay Prison from Graveyard. I think I still go for it. Since mana is our limiting factor here, and Dark Ritual is the best we can do without using Sacrifice. And I don't think I can get there with the Reanimate on any of my creatures. But yeah, another Renan 6 would be bad. Opponent's gonna Surveil. We're also at 8, so it doesn't take much for them to cross the finish line. Alright, so they do have the other white source, so they can replay Lurrus and exile my Charbelcher now. And I drew Balustrade Spy. So I can cast a Spy, but then I need them to not keep Lantern exiled to be able to set up Turn the Earth. If I let them untap, we're in all sorts of trouble, so I think I have to make a move here. But yeah, Dark Ritual out Charbelcher is not gonna work, because then they just reuse Static Prison. I get my Lantern back, but that doesn't matter. So I have to go for Balustrade Spy. And then hope our opponent gives us our Lantern back. So turn the Earth in graveyard. No green mana to cast it. Opponent's gonna source the Spy. Do I get Lantern back? I don't. Alright, now we're just dead. If I had green mana, then flashback turn the Earth. I would still need an extra turn to actually cast a Reanimate, since we don't have anything to pitch to Chromox. But we're also just taking a lot of damage in the meantime. Alright, GG's. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We do not have any win conditions, no fast mana, easy mulligan. This is better. So I guess this is a turn 2 Balustrade Spy, using double Chromox. Although I'm gonna run out of cards to pitch to Chromox, since I also need to keep my lands. So we're going first. I don't think I keep Sacrifice, although maybe it's still better than, let's say, an Awakening. Because I could draw one of the elementals and then we can sacrifice those to combo off. And then I need to keep the red one in case we draw Fury. So turn 1 is kinda underwhelming, just play tap land and pass. I guess that also means now drawing the black evoke elemental doesn't really help, because I don't have a black spell I want to pitch to it. So maybe I should have kept a black land instead. Alright, and we drew a card I can pitch to Chromox. So yeah, I guess I'm down. Hope there's no interaction. Now if they're a control deck, they could still have a counter spell for Turn the Earth next turn, since we're not bringing back a whole bunch of zombies here. Target myself, make sure to put an upkeep stop. Alright, so no counterspell, please. Opponent fetches with Misty Rainforest. And gets Hallowed Fountain. Oh no. Plays Rainforest and passes. This isn't good. So we'll go for Reanimates. Opponent's gonna Brainstorm, alright, so no counter yet. Now they could technically source to Plowshares my creature, and then I wouldn't be able to win the game, but nope, opponent concedes, so Reanimate on Thassa's Oracle wins the game. Because yeah, let's say they source to Plowshares my Oracle, my Devotion 0, I still have a card left in library, so then we don't win the game. But yeah, that'll do it. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a hand that's just missing one of our elementals to sacrifice. Right now we just don't have any fast mana, so this hand feels too slow. Once again, very similar hand, but with the same issue. Just can't cast my Spy in a timely fashion, unless I top deck Fury or Grief. I don't know if I can keep this now. Bottom the Jack-o'-lantern probably. And then I've got 8 elementals. Dark Ritual would be a fine draw. Chromox would be okay. So we do have some outs. Maybe I should keep instead of going to 5. Because if I go to 5, cards like Chrome Mox become much worse as well. So I need to keep Insight in case I draw Fury, so we have a red card to pitch to it. So then just tapped Awakening, go. Opponent's blue-red. Artifacts. Alright, this matchup is winnable, since they don't have much interaction outside of maybe Metallic Rebuke. But if they have Metallic Rebuke, we're in trouble. There's Fury. Okay, so yeah, go full control. Fury. I guess they can float blue mana with Ornithopter, but then, yeah, I guess they can't cast anything really. Fury take out Ornithopter. And then now sacrifice. Make a bunch of mana. Cast my Spy. And I have a convenient leftover mana to reanimate Thassa's Oracle. So that's a turn 2 kill with a spare mana here as well. Awesome. And we get to finally rank up to Diamond. So yeah, this no-land combo deck is incredibly degenerate, and being able to win on turn 1 is not super healthy for the format. Then again, Strip Mine is legal, so what do I know? But we have seen that the Avatar The Last Airbender set will introduce Force of Negation into the format as a special guest, so that free counterspell effect is going to be incredibly important to stop some of these turn 1 combo decks, and then maybe the metagame will adjust to that as well, but that's still multiple months away, so in the meantime, enjoy winning on turn 1. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. I want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.